Old Sennacherib, the Assyrian king, was coming. One by one, he was conquering cities left and right as he made his way to Lachish and then on into the land of Judah. Now Hezekiah knew he was coming. He'd heard word, and he began to strengthen his city, his country, and his people. He began to rebuild walls. He began to hide water sources to make sure that he didn't make it easy for the enemy to camp outside his walls. And he began to encourage the people because, well, they were discouraged. They could see what was coming, and they heard the news, and their hearts began to fear. Hezekiah, he gave them a speech, and this is what he said. 2 Chronicles 32:7, "Be strong and courageous. Be not afraid nor dismayed. For the king of Assyria, nor for all the multitude that is with him, for there be more with us than with him." Now, numerically, they were outnumbered. The Assyrians had this massive army. But the king reassured his people, there's more with us than with them. With him is an arm of flesh. In other words, Sennacherib's army was merely numerical in numbers of flesh, people, soldiers. He says, but with us is the Lord our God to help us and to fight our battles. And so Hezekiah knew that it was not by might nor by strength, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Hezekiah knew that the battle was going to be won or lost based on God giving them victory or defeat. Hezekiah knew that God was going to be their protector. He was going to be their provider. I wonder, do you and I, do we know that? Hezekiah knew that. Do we know that about our own lives? Do we trust in the Lord when we face the enemy, when we face the battles that we face on a daily basis? We need to be encouraged the way that the people were encouraged, and that's why God's given us His Word. But here's what the people did. And I don't know, maybe you've heard somebody say this before. I remember Jesse Ventura saying this in a derogatory manner about Christians, that their trust in God was just a crutch. Well, what do you do with a crutch? You lean on it, don't you? Well, that's exactly what the people did. It says, and the people rested themselves upon the words of Hezekiah, king of Judah. In difficult times, you look for something to hold on to. You look for something solid and something stable. That same word, that same Hebrew word, that same ideology was used by the Assyrian representative, the old Rabshakeh, when he came to threaten Hezekiah. And he said to the people, he said, now behold, thou trustest upon the staff of this bruised reed, even upon Egypt, on which if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh king of Egypt unto all that trust on him. He said, you're leaning on the staff of Egypt. It's not strong enough. It's going to break. And when it does, it's going to go through your hand. Same Hebrew word. So the people weren't leaning upon Egypt like the Rabshakeh said. The people were leaning upon the words of Hezekiah. And where did the words of Hezekiah come from? Well, they came from God. They came from God through the prophet Isaiah to King Hezekiah. And then Hezekiah reassured his people, hey, there's more with us than there are with them. And when we, as followers of Jesus, when we face difficult times, when we face the challenges and the battles that you and I face, we need to lean upon the Lord our God and lean upon His words. 1 John 4:4 tells us, ye are of God, little children, and have overcome them, because greater is He that is in you than he that is in the world. For Hezekiah, he said, they are greater that are with us. God was with them in that battle. You and I, we live in the new covenant. We have Jesus living in us. He has given us His Holy Spirit, and greater is He who is in us than he who's in the world. You can rest on those words. God bless you. Have a great day.